All right, good evening, everyone. The March 20th, 2024 meeting of the San Mateo County Board of Education will come to order. As is our practice, this meeting will be recorded. I warmly welcome our Youth Commission Liaison, Bethany Zhao, joining at the board dais. The board provides remote access for members of the public and welcomes community members joining in person and remotely. The board is following the requirements of Assembly Bill 2449, which enables remote participation by board members only under specific circumstances. We use simultaneous interpretation in Spanish for those attending virtually through the end of public comment. Translation will continue further into the meeting if people are utilizing the channel. Thank you to our interpreter, Ana Cruz, for joining us remotely. For meeting attendees wishing to access the Spanish translation channel on Zoom, please click the interpretation button on the menu bar. We ask that all speakers be mindful of the Spanish interpretation and speak slowly and clearly. I ask board members to speak directly into the microphone and remind all speakers who are wearing masks to please remove their masks when speaking in order to be clearly heard by all attendees. Item 1B is approval of tonight's agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Motion by Trustee Gerard. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Limpert. Motion by Trustee Limpert. Sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes with a vote of 7-0, and the agenda for tonight's meeting has been approved. Item 2 is public comment. Public comment guidelines are available on the SMCOE website and in our board docs, as well as on the table outside the boardroom in both English and Spanish. If there are speakers who require Spanish interpretation, our interpreter, Ms. Cruz, will interpret following each speaker's comments. At this time, members of the public may provide comment for topics not included on the approved agenda. The County Board of Education does not act upon any matter that has not been agendized, except under limited circumstances, as permitted by law. It is the policy of the County Board to refer matters raised in this forum to the Superintendent for investigation and/or action where appropriate. Superintendent McGee, do we have any comments submitted prior to the meeting?
We did not.
Thank you. Speakers are invited to make a live comment and have 3 minutes to speak. The board's executive assistant, Jennifer Perna, will keep the time and advise when the speaker has 30 seconds left. Please keep within the time limits. To make a comment over Zoom, members of the public may use the raise hand feature. Instructions for using this feature are provided as an attachment in the board packet. Once the hand is raised, please wait to be acknowledged by Superintendent McGee. Superintendent McGee, are there any members of the public wishing to speak on Zoom this evening?
We have one hand, Janice Pelizzari.
Okay.
I think Janice, you're cleared to speak.
Yes, I was just unmuting. Good evening, President Benini, board trustees, Superintendent McGee, and guest. I'm here tonight. We've had some really good stuff going on in the past few months, and wanted to share that. Went to a labor management conference with all the union people and management, which was a great experience to collaborate and just be with each other and get to know each other better. So to make business decisions better as well. Okay, I say that. Gateway is still running and it's feeling better, but there's a lot of things going on within our own staffing, so we're going to deal with that. And then I have one ask. I'm a bit frustrated this evening about one item, and that's our paychecks for this month. By EDCO, it says that we should get paid by the last working day that we work, which would be this Friday. And it seems that we're not going to be getting paid till the 28th. And I'm not sure why that's happening, because we can do it in December when it's the 22nd. Why can't we do it in March? I am just putting that question out there to you, and thanks for listening to me, and have a good night.
Thank you very much, Janice. Okay, members of the public may also provide live comment in person. Superintendent McGee, are there any submitted cards?
We do have one card from Christian Morales.
Okay, great.
Good evening. Happy spring, everybody. I just wanted to give a couple updates. My name is Christian Morales. I am the Vice President of CSCA 887. Well, first, I just wanted to give a update. The chapter president and myself attended the California School Personnel Commissioners Association annual conference in Monterey earlier this month, where we heard valuable legal updates in the world of merit. And we also got to network with a couple of school board members from the state, other personnel commissioners, and union leaders. I think my personal favorite topic was how AI is impacting not just social media, but the educational workforce. So that's something that even our own personnel commission here in the county office was very interested in. Secondly, on Monday, the Labor Management Initiative team met in Burlingame with the superintendent, the other unions, 158, 789, and the teachers union. And we are continuing to work on our relationship building, problem solving, and shared communication strategies. I believe that slowly but surely we are working towards building a partnership to create a safe work environment. And lastly, I just wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate my chapter president, Lori Mouton, who is being recognized tonight as Employee of the Month. In the fast-paced world of accounts payable, where attention to detail is paramount, Lori has consistently risen to the occasion, especially when her team has been short-staffed. Her unwavering commitment to teamwork and positive attitude makes her an asset to our union, but she is also a trusted mentor and a friend to many in this office. Her tenacity to tackle issues and stand up for the classified employee embodies the spirit of a true leader. So again, congratulations on this well-deserved honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any other? There aren't any other.
No.
Okay. Public comment addressing specific agenda items will be heard immediately before the board takes them up. If members of the public wish to speak to a specific agenda item, please use the raised hand feature when the item is announced, or if you are in person, please submit a card in advance of the item. Okay, item 3A is the March 2024 Employee of the Month. Lori Mouton, Senior Accounting Assistant, Internal Business Services Division, is the recipient this month. Lori, will you please join me in the center of the room? Okay, well, it is my honor to be able to give you this award, Lori. Each month, the board and the superintendent recognize an employee for providing outstanding service. For the month of March, we recognize you, Lori Mouton, Senior Accounting Assistant, Internal Business Services in the Business Services Division. Lori joined the County Office of Education in August 1987 in what was then the Student Services Division. In 2015, she moved to the Business Services Division. She was honored as the Employee of the Month in March 1995 and also in February 2004. Lori is dependable and willing to jump in to support the team and accomplish work as needed. When a senior accounting assistant left the county office last year at a busy time for accounts payable, Lori stepped in without being asked to pick up the work. She made sure invoices were paid on time and requisitions were processed and converted to purchase orders. She also handled vendor inquiries and reconciled county office accounts with their records. Lori stayed beyond her daily ending time and came in on Saturdays until the department was caught up and able to close the books. That's amazing. Lori often goes above and beyond and works with minimal supervision. When the department was having difficulty working with a vendor to resolve a past due invoice, Lori repeatedly called them and patiently explained the situation to every representative until they resolved the situation. Additionally, as union president, Lori makes sure her union meetings are scheduled around the department's workflows and busy times, ensuring she is available to complete necessary work. Lori is a team player who helps others succeed in their roles. She spends time with new administrative assistants to help them understand the requisition process and develop the skills needed to resolve issues with invoices. Lori consistently brings positive energy to the office, which brightens the workplace and greets staff with a positive word and smile, which uplifts her colleagues. We are proud of our county office staff and pleased to recognize you, Lori, for your outstanding work. Congratulations, Lori, on being named Employee of the Month for March 2024. Would you like to say a few words?
Ooh, first I want to thank you, President Bonini, and the board, and my superintendent, McGee. Yeah, I'm one of the seasoned employees here, 37 years. Yes. And I have to say that I think that I am one of few that really enjoy my job. I've had the opportunity to meet some amazing people here, working here and their families, and we have not only have a great work relationship, but we have a great personal relationship outside. So I've had many members support my son in his theater achievements. And I am just so grateful for all the love and the kindness and the friendship that I receive on a daily basis. And I just want to thank you. And I look forward to many more years. Not too many, but many more. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Congratulations.
Lori gets to be in the middle and then everybody's surrounding you. Yeah, that'd be great. And then let's make sure those Lori Newton possible sticks are. And everybody, make sure that we can see everybody. And face a little bit out here. Okay.
Right. All right, well, that was super fun. Okay. Let's see, where are we? We're at item 4A. Item 4A is the introduction of Alan Coe, Manager, District Business Services Division. Manager Coe is joining us remotely this evening. And welcome.
Good evening, Board President Benini, members of the board, Superintendent McGee. My name's Alan Coe. I apologize for not being there in person today for today's board meeting. I have a 1.5-year-old that requires all my attention after work. So if you hear my son in the background, he's probably making a ruckus upstairs, going through cabinets and taking everything out. So I apologize if you hear that. But thank you for accommodating me via Zoom. I really appreciate it. Again, my name's Alan Coe. I just want to give a little background on myself. I started my career in school business about 13 years ago at a different county, Alameda County Office of Ed. I was there about 6 years and moving up the ranks to analyst there. And I came to San Mateo County to Sequoia Union High School District. And I was there for another 6 years. After that, I came back. I went to county to district, and I came back to county here as San Mateo Office of Education as a manager for District Business Services. And my role here as a manager is mostly providing fiscal support with the AB 1200 function. That's just reviewing their budget, their interims, and all that fun stuff. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to come back to the county was because of all the support that a county provides to districts. And I really enjoy helping people, and that's what really brought me back to the county. Specifically, I wanted to come to San Mateo County Office of Ed because during my time at Sequoia, I just really appreciated all the support that SMCOE provided to the districts when I was at Sequoia. And so I want to shout out Doris and Faith and their team helping me adjust to the new accounting system over there when I came from, because I was in a different accounting system. So I just really appreciated all that one-on-one support that the team provided me. And I, want that level of service really attracted me to come to San Mateo Office of Education. So that's why I, wanted to work there. So I'm really excited to be a part of the team. I hope to continue a lot of the good work that's already being done at District Business Services. And I have aspirations to be a CBO one day. So hopefully I can grow and learn a lot here at SMCOE. So thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Okay. All right, we're on to item 5A. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of, I think we have the wrong date for
March
20th, right?
6th.
Oh, or that's, sorry, I was confused. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of March 6, 2024's regular board meeting as presented?
So moved.
Second. Thank you, trustee Cannon, for the motion and the second. Thank you, trustee Alvaro. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed or any opposed? Okay, the motion passes with a vote of 7-0 and the minutes for March 6, 2024 have been approved. All right, item 6 is our consent agenda. The consent agenda is not debatable and requires a unanimous vote for passage. An item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular order of business for separate discussion and action if any member of the board, the superintendent, or the public so requests. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, trustee Gerard. And there's a second by trustee Lemper. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0, and the consent agenda has been approved. For item 7A, Kevin Bultema, Deputy Superintendent, Business Services Division, Minette Magno, Executive Director, Internal Business Services, and Marian Reyes, Manager, Fiscal Services, will present the 2023-2024 second interim financial report. Deputy Superintendent Bultema, we invite you and your team to the podium to begin. Welcome.
Good evening, Board President Benini, members of the board, Superintendent McGee. Marion's going to get us started, so I'm just going to get out of the way and we're going to jump right into it.
Good evening, everyone. So we're here to present the second interim for fiscal year 23-24. So the changes from our first interim budget, we updated the LCFF formula with information that came in with the most updated funding data that we received. We also adjusted any new budget that came in that we weren't aware for the first interim. So those are the updates that we've done with the LCFF funding. The other things that we updated to, most importantly, was the salaries and benefits. So we were looking at positions that were vacant, and then any other that were not going to be filled in, or any vacancy that was just recently filled in. And if there was any changes on the budget, so those were all updated. Another thing to note was the multi-year projection, which is the important piece of the budget too. Accounting for our one-time money, which includes the ESSER money as the COVID funds, which are expiring on September 30th, 2024. We also aligned it with our SMCOE strategic plan, and also in preparation to moving to the new ERP software or system, we also incorporated budget, and then implementing that change too were all included in this budget. So the next piece is just a snapshot of our income statement. We have the columns for unrestricted and restricted, and I just wanted to point again, the amount that we receive for LCFF, which is that 68 million on top, but we also wanted to remind that, we also have to return excess property of 33, so net effect is about 34 million, which we actually receive. And then going through the federal revenue and all those revenue and expenditure, we have a positive change balance on unrestricted, and negative balance on restricted, and the fund balance means that we're spending down our one-time funds. So this is just a quick snapshot in a graphic form of how we receive our revenue. So we have the big chunk in the local revenue and also a bigger one for the LCFF too. And this is just another graph showing our expenditure. Again, the big chunk of our expenditure amounted that 29% is that excess property tax that we have to return. And another big chunk is for services too. So this is just a summary too of all our services. If you're familiar with our object code 5800, so that's where all our services, consultant, it's just broken down to the different manager code. So this is how we account for the different programs and identify those that are in those buckets. So next slide will be Minette Magno.
Thanks, Marian. Good evening, everyone. On the slide, you will see just the comparison of columns from original budget, first interim and second interim. This is probably a change in what you've seen in the past, because in the past we've only shown first interim and second. This time we're showing you original first interim and second. The difference column, however, is coming from the difference between the second interim and first interim only. So a very important piece to note on this slide is the LCFF changes. There is increase in property taxes. However, there's also a slight decrease in our LCFF revenues that's related to the number of districts identified for differentiated assistance. So if you notice the increase in LCFF, there's a corresponding increase in the amount that we have to return to state. So the net effect is actually a decrease because there's more money that we have now to return than the LCFF increase. You'll also note, as Marian mentioned earlier, the position control adjustments that we made related to certificated, classified, and employee benefits. And the ERP implementation, the enterprise resource program that we have already moving forward into implementation, we have added that piece of the budget, and a corresponding cost transfer from another fund is coming from Fund 17 to make sure that that is supported. So I'm gonna move on to the budgets of our court school programs. This first slide shows us the gateway budget. So now we're showing first interim, second interim. The third column shows the actual expenditures as well as the encumbrances as of January 31st, 2024. So as you can see, we have slightly lower actuals and encumbrances. That includes all of payroll through June 30. But because of the increases in certificate salaries and potential increases we are keeping those numbers there just to accommodate those potential expenses coming. Next is Canyon Oaks. It's pretty much similar to what you've seen with Gateway budget. So those are just the changes. We've made a little bit of adjustments in between certificated and classified salaries, as well as some operating costs. Now we're going into the Hillcrest Court School budget. There is a slight change in how the revenue was accounted at second interim because of the change in LCFF calculation. It's just a different bucket where revenues are coming in now. It's all at second interim, they're all coming in through property tax transfers. And same thing, we made a little bit of adjustments in the certificated, classified, and employee benefits. Sorry, moved too much. Sorry, last but not least is the court school camp budget. So similarly to the other ones, this is presented similar fashion with, I believe we didn't do any changes here on the camp budget, but as you can see, it's similarly presented with property tax transfers and then all the expenditures related to operating camp. So this is my last slide. I will now pass on to Kevin, who will conclude our presentation. Thank you.
Okay, I get to talk about the multi-year projection, the MYP, which we talk about being one of the most important documents that we prepare. And it certainly gives us a good status of where we are financially and what we project in the future. So in the MYP assumptions, we are looking at decreases in countywide average daily attendance. We updated the position control in the out years as well for benefit costs that we know are increasing, and step and column costs as well. We estimate increases in salary costs related to implementing the strategic plan. We have another $500,000 in the 24-25 budget. The STRS and PERS costs are going up, and we do increase the supplies and service budgets by a consumer price index percentage of 3.55 and 3.03% in 24-25 and 25-26 respectively. Should have got those dates differently. So here's a picture of the multi-year projection, and this is for the unrestricted side of the budget only. And it is in the same format you might see in the standardized accounting code structure, where the LCFF revenue is at the top and the transfer or other outgo is included in the expenditure line. So just looking at the ending fund balance number, you can see we have positive ending fund balance. It's actually growing in those 3 years. Our change in fund balance, that's the net increase or decrease in fund balance, is a positive 3.7, a positive 1.6, and a positive million. In our budget, we do have increased salaries for our SMCEA group, but we do not have any salary increases for any other group. We weren't completed in time for this budget. But those we expect and are closing as we speak with some of those unions. Those costs will certainly show up at our estimated actual budget as we prepare original for the next year. We can make all of our reserve requirements, and we did include the $9.8 million. We talked about that last time related to our ending balance that we would like to, from 22-23, we would like to move over to our savings account. We've held off on that, actually doing that transfer, mainly because we want to see the impact of our settlement costs with our bargaining units, and also the conversation we're having regarding implementing our new ERP or accounting software as well. This is exactly the same numbers. If you look at the bottom line, the ending fund balances are the same. The only difference is in the presentation, where we have the LCFF revenue and then immediately have the other outgo that comes out, so that you can really see what's happening with the true LCFF increase is just a small increase from 3.4, almost 4 million up to 34.6 million. So previously, the budgets we brought to you had almost $1 million increases in the multi-year projection, but with the state budget challenges and deficits that we're seeing, those cost of living adjustments of approximately 2.5–3% in the out years are now zero, very small out into 25-26. We have good reserves. We're very fortunate in that way. So you can see our chart here continues to increase. We do think that when we have our settlement with all bargaining units, this will change. Basically, you'll see those numbers go down. We do think we'll still see positive change in the current year, potential for some deficits going out into 24-25 and 25-26. This is just a reminder, we self-certify whether we are positive, qualified, or negative. This is certainly a positive budget. And really the conclusions, revenue estimates are a decrease from where we were even at first interim. We underreported what the number of districts that were in differentiated assistance. So we're down about $300,000 from where we were at first interim. We do see deficits in the restricted side of the budget, which we would expect at second interim, as we've had carryover dollars and one-time dollars that we're spending from prior years. We noted that 22-23 fund balance transfer. We're waiting on that to get through our negotiated settlements, and then we'll let those dollars fall out and move those over to our savings account in Fund 17. And then we have added costs related to implementing the ERP, the Enterprise Resource Planning Software Program, moving from our current system, CECC, to a new system called Frontline ERP. And we've also included those in our multi-year projections. So in the multi-year projections, we have considerations for a lower cost of living adjustment. Our classification and compensation study we know is out. We're waiting for those results. We have the strategic planning implementation in 24-25. And then again, implementing a new financial system takes a number of years, and there are additional costs associated with doing that. We believe the ongoing costs related to a new ERP are less than what we're paying now, but there's one-time costs to do it and do it well. And we are positioned to spend some of those reserve dollars, some of the interest earnings we have for the balance that we have in Fund 17, for instance, to help pay for that. Bottom line is we have healthy reserves. We're very, very fortunate. So with that, open any questions.
Are there any comments or questions from the board? Trustee Alvaro.
Thank you. Thank you for a very clear and easy to understand. Thank you all for a very clear and easy to understand presentation. I'm wondering, this is off your page, but I'm wondering, I've been reading a lot about the, for lack of a better word, shenanigans around Prop 98 that are happening at Sacramento right now, and how you're looking at that is in terms of multi-year projections.
Yeah, it's interesting that $8 billion kind of solution that's being proposed does not match generally accepted accounting principles, although the state is quick to point out they don't have to follow general accepting accounting principles. So we're concerned about it. But at this point in time, we just don't know what the solution is going to be. We've adjusted down to the cost of living adjustment estimates, which are basically about zero for next year, and then small in 25, 26. But we are interested in seeing what that might look like. As a county office, we do have a different formula than some of the districts that we serve. So the impact to us might be less than what we might see with some of our LCFF districts, but it is certainly a risk factor that we're paying close attention to. We're very interested to see what our May revise is going to look like.
Because it looks to me like it could be an impact that lasts for a number of years. It's not just going to be a hit, which we're used to, right? You take a hit for a year or two. This looks like it could be rolling out over several years of bad news from.
Yeah, for those of us that were here in 2008, who lived through deferrals and actually saw deficits in that time or revenue limits, this is starting to line up to what we saw back then. Again, our reserves are going to help us. And so I think we're in a good position to get through it. But cash will be an issue, and we'll continue to monitor cash.
And still we pay 30% of our revenue back to the state for, we don't know what, but all right.
Right.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, I have a couple. One is, and I don't know where it is here, but one is and I can't remember the Assembly bill or Senate bill that brought more money to the county offices for, I think, for differentiated assistance purposes. I think you mentioned that. Where do we see that in our budget? Is it like the base funding, or is it somewhere else? I was just curious.
That's a good question. It's in the LCFF number. So that $34 million that you see after the money that we send back and other outgo, it's embedded in that. We do have a specific manager code or resource code. We have a specific manager code that we track that because we know that those dollars are going to ebb and flow slightly as districts come in and out of differentiated assistance.
Right.
So the idea is lining up our cost structure and support structure, that those dollars, even though they're kind of going up and down, can be sustained over a point of time. So we track it separately.
Okay, thank you. And then my other question is regarding the Hillcrest budget, and there was that change where it turned to be from the, my thing's so small, it was property tax transfers rather than our budget. Why? And that seems like a good thing if it's not coming from our unrestricted funds, but is that just?
Yeah, it's actually
The same.
interesting that they're both unrestricted in nature. One's just a pot of property tax dollars that we receive. And then previously, we were just not assigning as much property tax into the program because of the student attendance. We had projected much lower, and the property taxes have grown overall. So all we're doing is, instead of contributing unrestricted dollars, which is LCFF money, we're just specifically direct charging those property tax revenues. So it's really all unrestricted. It's just whether we're recording it as property tax or as a contribution.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you. I don't have any other questions. No other? Okay, thank you so much for the presentation, all of you, and for the information. All right. Is there any public comment? I always forget that now. I don't know why, because we moved it. Doesn't seem
I don't
so.
see any.
Thank you. I'll get used to it. Okay. Actually, we have to approve this. Yes, there is actually action to take. So is there a motion to approve the 2023-24 second interim financial report?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Gerard and a second by trustee Lempert. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes 7-0. All right. For item 8A, we also have Kevin Bultema, Deputy Superintendent, Business Services Division, and Tammy Moore, Associate Superintendent, Human Resources, Office of the Superintendent, will present the public disclosure of the collective bargaining agreement between the San Mateo County Superintendent of Schools and California School Employees Association, CSEA, and its Chapter 158 for the 2023-2024 deputy, for 2023-2024. Welcome.
Good evening, Board President Bonini, members of the board, and Superintendent McGee. I am pleased to share with you today that the San Mateo County Office of Education has concluded reopener contract negotiations with CSEA Chapter 158 for the 2023-2024 school year. And Deputy Superintendent Bultema will present to you the information required for the public disclosure.
In compliance with AB 2756, we are providing the financial impact of this negotiated settlement. You'll note that it calls for a 6% salary increase effective to July 1 of 2023. It also includes a $5,000 per employee one-time payment. The health benefits were consistent with what we saw with the previous group, though we've actually have two different amounts now, whether you're an individual or an individual plus one. So we have two different amounts now that we think is more responsive to the needs of employees in the CSEA 158. Total impact on a per employee basis. This shows it at almost 10%, but again, that's really skewed mostly by the one-time payment going out to this group. So with that, are there any questions?
Great. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Nope. Okay. Are there any comments from the public?
No.
Okay. There is no action to take on this. Thank you very much for the presentation. Item 8B is superintendent's comments. Superintendent McGee, do you have any comments to share?
Yes. Let me toggling different documents here. So let me get to the right. Here we go. Okay, so for the last two board meetings, you might have noticed that Council Niblin is not sitting with the board, and President Bonini raised the question for discussion with me, and we sort of went back and forth about the value of the attorney sitting with the board when there's nothing necessarily legal in basis on the agenda. And so for the time being, we've decided that the county attorney office will be represented at the board table when there's reasonable legal need for their presence, certainly for an IAA or any kind of appeal, any kind of complex policy discussions, things like that. But I just wanted to call that out for why Mr. Niblin's not here tonight. I think it was the day after our last board meeting was the 17th District PTA Founders Luncheon. And I just wanted to acknowledge all the board members that were there in support of that event, which was really, really special. It was wonderful to have board member Lempert be the keynote speaker. And then congratulations, Mr. Lempert, on being awarded the PTA's Golden Oak Award. The Golden Oak Award is actually the most prestigious of the honorary service awards that an individual can receive. And so that is actually quite an honor. Only a select few have the honor to receive that. So congratulations and much appreciation for all the service that that award represents on your behalf. last Friday, in honor of Read Across America, I was honored to read to a lively class of third graders at Sunset Ridge Elementary School in Pacifica. Not only was it a beautiful day, absolutely stunning day in Pacifica, but this special campus, if you've never been to Sunset Ridge, it sits up above the hill and looks over on that particular day, just a gorgeous royal blue ocean. So it's a really lovely setting for a school. And the school was alive with student leaders. They were escorting adult readers all over the place to all their different assigned classrooms and introducing them. The students were really, the ambassadors were very full of pride with their role. And I was escorted to my third grade classroom by a pair of fourth graders who had that very same teacher last year. And they actually, I had to almost kind of skip to keep up with them. They were in such a hurry to get there. And then when we got inside the classroom, there was lots of hugs and kisses and all kinds of wonderful reuniting of the three, the teacher and the two students. So that was really nice. And then, of course, just reading to students is such a fun thing to do. And they were super engaged, really funny and very creative. And it was a really special moment that I very much enjoyed. I think that kind of activity is going on all across the county in these few weeks. So in the future, I need to connect with the board members and see where would you like to be a reader for Read Across America and get you figured out where you can get into a classroom and read with kids.
I was just going to ask that question.
Yeah. I mentioned this to President Benini earlier today, and I just learned about this on Monday at the California County Superintendent's meeting. But there is a bill making its way through the legislation process authored by Senator Bill Dodd. I'm not sure the impact here in San Mateo, but other counties and county superintendents were acknowledging that it was definitely on the radar of their county board members. It's Senate Bill 1380, and the language is about charter schools. And it is a reaction to I think to some of the actions that happened last year in Napa with the denial that went to the state board on appeal and then was overturned, and there was legal action around that that's still ongoing. But I think what the crux of this bill is about is that some counties have been experiencing that when a charter petition is denied at the district level, that they're finding that it's coming back to the county board in its same format, not as an appeal, but as a new petition as a county-wide charter school. And so it's a little bit what people are finding, it's a little bit end around the process. And so depending on what, a county-wide charter must be addressing the needs that are not addressed in any other way in the county. It can't just be a same charter petition that was going to be stood up in a district that now all of a sudden magically overnight becomes a county-wide. So this bill by Senator Dodd is saying that if the governing board of a school district denies a petition, that it prohibits any person from submitting a substantially similar petition to the county board as a county-wide charter school, and would require a county office of education to deny that petition if they find it to be substantially similar. And I think that is the crux of that bill, but in some counties, this is a concerning issue. And so many of the county superintendents were talking about it. I will be forwarding that information to the liaisons for the legislative subcommittee, and they'll bring the content of that to the subcommittee. And then finally, I will add this to the board's calendar. I don't think I've shared this date with you yet, but I want to be sure that all board members have actually 2 dates on their calendar. One, May 15th will be our end of school year celebration. I call it a barbecue. I'm told it's not a barbecue because there's not actually anything on fire. And so it will be at Gateway, and it will be like between 1:30 and 3:30 in the afternoon on May 15th. We'll put that on the board's calendar. But additionally, in the morning of May 30th, this is the date that the Gateway students will be engaging in their CTE showcase. And I talked about the CTE showcase at Hillcrest, then that I was able to go see that, and what a really powerful experience it was. This will be the conclusion of the students' 3-week masterclass for CTE, and it will be happening at the Gateway site. Again, as a reminder, this masterclass is a unique pilot being provided by an outside agency called Collaborative Education Advisors. The classroom teachers actually work as like teachers or guides on the side to support students in their work, and our teachers actually are the teachers of record who provide the grades for the class. So again, it was very successful with a really engaging curriculum. And not only is it engaging, but it's rigorous, and it is based on California standards in many of the subject areas, as well as the CTE standards. The students earn CTE credit, which gets them their college and career readiness goals met, and they have the ability to earn additional credits through this work. So I think if you're able to be there on May 30th and see it for yourself and see the kids' enthusiasm, is what I would expect. That's what I saw at Hillcrest, very articulate reflections of their learning and what the value was of the experience. So I hope you can add that to your calendars. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. For item 9A, the board will receive an update from the Gateway Board Subcommittee. As subcommittee chair, I would be happy to start the discussion. So we, as a committee, have had a couple of meetings since we've reported to the board. We had one meeting in February, and then we had one yesterday. We covered a couple of issues or, items. We wanted initially just to get an update on what was going on because we hadn't had a meeting for a while. When we did that meeting in February, there's a report that the National Equity Project was preparing, and it wasn't quite ready. So we talked about, asked some questions about things that were going on. And we met in that meeting with Sarah Notch and with Chris Schaus. And then the report was ready, and we had a follow-up meeting yesterday. And Superintendent McGee was able to join us for that meeting. So we covered various things. Our questions had to do initially with the timeline of the project and what the design group has been doing. And then sort of on that front, the role of the subcommittee in the process. And so I wanted to, I was a little bit remote yesterday for the meeting. So, so after I finish my report, I will ask the other subcommittee members if they have other things that I don't have. But I did want to just make a comment from what I heard yesterday and then what I see in the notes about the board's role or the committee's role. And I looked back at the resolution that we passed when we rescinded the closing and when we formed the committee. And I feel like there is a little bit of room for a little more engagement with the subcommittee in terms of knowing what's going on like more directly with the design group. We would like to attend a meeting if we can, something like that. Like we were able to do some of the initial discovery sessions. So even if we can just attend something, we, debriefed, and that would be great. I don't know the timeline for that, other than I know that the contract is going for another couple of months. So, it's exciting to know that the things are happening and being planned, and I won't go into great detail because I think we'll hear that later about short-term projects and long-term projects and all of that. But I did just want to note that. And let's see what else. There was also a request at the meeting yesterday that we have an agenda item for the entire board to look at what the committee has been, the design group has been working on in terms of a revised vision statement, I believe it's called. And we saw one, I was looking back at the notes, we had a vision statement that was initially came from the first group, which was the design process that preceded the National Equity Project. And it was similar, but it's different. I don't have it in front of me, but I know that it was a little bit different. And it sounded good. And so Superintendent McGee asked if we could bring that to the board in April. So I think it will be agendized for then so that you can see it. And I think that the import of it is to get, a unity of movement going forward and what different things will be happening at the site. So there's a lot happening at the site that from what we could tell. And also in that process, some work with a group, the legal project. There's a new legal project at Stanford. There's the Youth Law Center, all the things coordinating with the community college. So there's a lot of great things going on. So that's what I have. Do the other committee members, Trustee Torres or Trustee Gerard, have any comments to add?
Yes. We also discussed about having a separate meeting just to discuss the report on the discovery sessions. Just because there were so many other topics that we had to go through, and we also didn't get a chance to fully look at the report. But hopefully we get to do that before the next board meeting, so that way we can report back on that as well.
I think Trustee Gerard?
Yes, I have a couple of things that I just wanted to let the board know that we had discussed. In addition to the NEP timeline, we also talked about and clarified when the statement was made at the last board meeting about students or people being on the campus, Gateway campus. And there were actually students from Stanford on the campus, and they were participating partners in the design process in a program called Youth and Educational Law Project, which is a Stanford policy lab. And it is not the same as the Youth Law Center, which is represented by Katie Bliss, which we also participate with. Superintendent McGee also said that the empathy interviews with Gateway students and students involved in the Law Center and Rising Scholar Statewide Youth Justice Leadership Court have been completed. So it would be interesting to know how that went. And also we did, as President Benini said, talk about the role of the subcommittee. Let's see. I also think that it's important that we do get clarity on what our participation will be going forward in the design of the new process and what the communication there will be between the design committee and the subcommittee. And our next full board meeting, which will be April 3rd, we want to not only discuss the vision statement, but also the report that Superintendent McGee sent to us yesterday. I think that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you both. Is the report, is it a public report? Is it shareable with the board at the next meeting? I didn't really know.
We can definitely share it
Or the
with
April meeting.
the full board. I think it's not necessarily a public document because it's, discovery sessions with unique stakeholder groups and but I think what we can do is have our meeting with the subcommittee, pull out the key takeaways and share those in a report out from the committee.
Yeah.
Is probably the best way to do it.
There were because I did have a chance to look at it now. And there were specific statements. Of course, they're not attributed to any specific parties. And there are themes that were pulled out, which is helpful. So maybe it's worth considering what would be that, the one that preserves confidentiality, and also that we're, reading as a subcommittee, and then what we can share with the board in that way, so that we can talk about it. and have it documented.
We'll have all that clarified with NEP before we meet with you.
Okay.
And then we can set all that up in the subcommittee meeting.
Yeah, 'cause it really had a lot of information. I read it today too. So all, what was it, 10 pages or whatever it was anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty
It-
easy reading though.
It was
Micah.
very
Yeah.
interesting reading. And so I think it's well worth the rest of the board being able to have a lot of that information.
Okay, yeah, and I'll just close this item by saying that, the purpose and, hope with having the subcommittee to be a little bit more involved, right, is so that we can make sure everyone's that we're all on the same page, really, so that we can whatever the outcomes are. I think it might be stages of outcomes, but whatever that is, like, we all want to be serving kids and we want, that to be working together. And so we want to make sure that we all feel comfortable with that. So that's our goal. Great. Okay. Are there any questions from the board? No? Okay. Are there any questions from the public? Comments?
No, I don't. No hands raised.
All right, there is no action to take on this item. Item 9B is the board will report out on the 2024 CSBA County Board Governance Workshop. And I believe that was attended by Trustee Gerard and Trustee Torres. Would one of you like to begin the discussion?
I can start.
Okay.
I'll start with the positives. There were some great workshops and we met some great county board members, and Trustee Gerard was part of a panel and did a great job. So it was great to see her in action. Our county letter that we sent out got to everyone, and it was making it had everyone talking. So everyone was very supportive of the letter. There were other counties that were drafting their own condensed version of the letter since ours covered so much. And we also handed out copies of the letter to everyone that was present. There was a section that they left for a Q&A, so that way we could ask questions in regards to CCBE. That did not go as well as I had hoped. One, our letter was not acknowledged. Vernon, Billy, and the board were all present during that whole time, didn't utter a word. Not everyone was able to share or speak, and they really did try to limit people's comments, which was very sad, especially because I think our first initial workshop was on communication, transparency, norms, and relationships. So it was kind of contradictory to what was just presented. And after a few people asked questions or made comments, they quickly tried to move on to different ways to try and resolve or what county board members wanted to see between CSBA and the county board members. And after we listed our topics, they just went on to rereading them, which I felt was a bit redundant and waste of our time. So me, along with some other county board members, walked out during that last part of the session, and we came back when it was a new workshop. So it was very disappointing that no apology was issued. The letter was not acknowledged at all by anybody, and that we didn't get a chance to share what we had to say. Trustee
you.
Gerard?
Yes,
Any
I do
further
have,
comments?
I do have a few things I do want to add. And overall, the workshop went very well. The subject matter was very well received, and we had worked really hard to try and get as many county board members involved in the different workshops and panels as we possibly could. Hugo was very, very correct in the session that was to be for the transition of CCBE to CSBA was supposed to be very productive. When we planned the session, we left an hour and a half, actually almost 2 hours. It was 2 full sessions that we opened up for that. And it did not go well. It was very controlled, and county board members were not allowed to speak. We were told that we shouldn't live in the past, we needed to move forward. And they really didn't want to hear how anybody felt about what had happened in December. Hugo and I did pass out the letter to every single person in the room, every board member in the room. And we did not ask permission. We just did it. And I'm saying that because I don't think we would have been given permission had we asked. So we passed it out and everyone had a copy. And it was very, very well received. People were very pleased to see it. Evidently, a lot of people hadn't seen it, even though we had sent it out to all county offices. A lot of the board members there hadn't seen it. So, and this week is going to be a big week for board meetings throughout the state. A lot of the boards will be looking at our letter and developing similar letters to send out. It was really sad that it was not acknowledged at all. And what we were told, and I think this is important for the board to understand and know, because it was a little disconcerting and shocking, I think, to both of us. We were told that Vernon and Billy had nothing to do with this, that the board of directors and the president of CSBA are Vernon's boss, and that it was completely their decision to do this, and that Vernon needed to do what they told him to do. And also the president of CSBA had to do what the board of directors told him to do. And then he was Vernon's boss and told Vernon what to do. And the only people that Vernon was the boss of were the people that were actually employees of CSBA. And if we had anything we wanted to say to anyone, that we needed to go to the director of our regions and talk to them. And there is a board of directors meeting this weekend in Sacramento. And I will say, Chelsea doesn't know I'm going to say this, but I am, because I'm really angry. Chelsea and I tried to contact and speak with our regional director today, and we got no response. She did not want to talk to us. And so I'm hoping that other regions have a little more success with their regional directors than we did, because we didn't. And if that's the only way we're going to get anything done is to talk to our regional directors, we do have a problem. So I think that's important for everyone to know. And it was made very clear during this workshop over and over again by CSBA people that they really aren't interested in what county board members need or want. All they want to do is suck us in to CSBA with all of the rest of the district board members. And we have tried and tried and tried very hard. We are not giving up to make them understand that we are not district board members. And we are very different and we do very different things. And I know you have heard me say that every meeting since this happened, but I have to keep repeating it. So it's important that we all get out there and, talk to people. And I was actually in a 3-hour meeting Thursday night with a group of county board members strategizing and really trying to put together a plan if we can't get CSBA to listen to us, which right now I would say they're not. So does anybody have any questions or comments they'd like to?
I have one more thing to add too, but if anybody does have a question at this point, we can pause. So I just wanted to add, the way that the corporate structure was described to Bev was accurate, right? But the part they left out was that the members are the ones who, are electing those board members who then appoint the CEO. So that's the upward movement, and we are the members. And so taking that advice to heart, as Beverly noted, I reached out to our representative, who is Elisa McAvoy, today by email. Because, we want to show that we're making a good faith effort. We haven't received a response to the letter. So I asked her if she could see whether they are planning to address that at the board meeting this weekend. And she did respond, so I just wanted to make that clear, but all she did was say she forwarded it to the board, to the president, who is Albert Gonzalez, and to Vernon Billy. So they have the letter. But the question was, will they put it on their agenda? And it sounds like in the past, the comments have been, oh no, you can't come to our board meeting. And I said, well, can't we try to get on the agenda? But so we don't have an answer to that yet. But I just wanted to say that, it made a lot of sense to me once I saw everything as it was unfolding, and I saw how it was presented to us in delegate assembly with a list of talking points that our regional directors are not really representing us, because there was no checking in like, oh, how does this affect you? Oh, and after the fact. So I think that that's the next question is, how are we going to have more if we are going to be there with CSBA, how are we going to have more representation?
Well, and it wasn't the members of the delegate assembly that made the decision. It was
No.
the board of directors.
Right.
The members of the delegate assembly, which would be the school board members or the county school board members, were not involved in the decision at all. It was already done by the time anybody found out. So
Yeah.
we're happy about the workshop. We're happy that it went well and people were very pleased with our training because that is also a bone of contention. CSBA wants everybody to attend MIG and not have the kind of training we have had in the past. Now we're moving on to the September conference. And that meeting will be, I believe, next week. And I am on that committee as well. But this is another thing that is really bothering me a lot. CSBA will not allow any county board members on any of these committees that are not the 15 people that are in the transition group. And I think that is so wrong. And I've made a stink about it and it didn't do me any good, but it was also brought up at the workshop during the transition session that we had. But we are not allowed to have anyone else in this state that are county board members on those committees except for 15 people. And like I said, I think that's wrong, really wrong. So anyways, I'll stop. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I also forgot to mention that people were upset that the handbook and other resources are no longer available since the CCBE part of the website has been taken down. So there were a lot of questions in regards to that as well.
Thank you for the report. Are there any comments at this point before we move forward? Yes, Trustee Cannon.
So Lisa McAvoy, I always thought she was, a good logical person and a hard worker. She doesn't have any comments or any background for you folks on any of this?
No.
No, we offered to meet with her and she didn't respond to that.
And I asked to meet with her after the December meeting as well, and we've had no response. So she has not talked to us, even though we have reached out and wanted to talk to her.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? All right. Okay, there is no action. Oh, are there any comments from the public? Doesn't look like it. Okay, there is no action to take on this item. For item 9C, the board will discuss topics for future board agendas. Would any board member like to discuss agenda ideas? This is item 9C. So there's a list of pending things for April. I don't see any hands. Okay. There's no action to take on this item. For item 90, board members will comment. I start with Trustee Alvaro.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't have any comment other than to say thank you for trying and not giving up, because I know at least one of you is never going to give up because I've worked with her a long time. Tomorrow, I'm going to be able to attend the Right to Read movie virtual screening that this office is doing. I was really grateful that there's a virtual screening, so I will be able to watch that. I'm looking forward to it. I wanted to thank again to Deputy Superintendent Baltimore and Manette Manio and Marion Reyes and everybody else who was involved for a really clear and easily understood presentation. It means a lot when we can do that. Congratulations to Ted for being a golden oak. You realize that golden is like later years. I'm just saying.
I remember when he used to call me young Ted.
Yeah, well, compared to some of us, you still are. And big congratulations and thank you to Lori Mouton. It was great to see her fan club here with the little, it was hilarious and wonderful. And yeah, Lori's one of the people who's been here even longer than we have, Bev. And just not only does a great job, but just has a great attitude about it. And very, very well deserved. So I wanted to congratulate her. And that's what I have.
Thank you. Trustee Camacho?
Sure. Thank you for the budget presentations. Those are also always really helpful. Last week in my day job, I was able to attend the Small School Districts SSTA, Small School Districts Association Conference, which was also founded partly because they weren't so sure that CSBA could represent the needs of small school districts throughout the state. So they're an independent nonprofit association of school board members in small school districts. Some of our districts in this county are part of that as well. And the comments tonight also call to mind groups like the California Association of Black School Educators, which includes Black school board members and administrators throughout the state of California, which is another independent group that comes together, a membership association that comes together, as does the California Latino School Boards Association. So when individuals feel that maybe their needs aren't being met through professional development through CSBA, there have been other avenues for them to gather. And those are not sections of CSBA. They are independent nonprofit groups, membership associations. So just putting that out there.
Thank you. It's being
Oh,
discussed.
that's great. The youth liaison, or just Bethany? Bethany's up.
Sure. To start off, I'd like to give an update on the Youth Commission. The Civic Engagement Subcommittee that I'm on is going to be holding a Civic Leadership Summit on April 13th at the Redwood City Library from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock p.m. If any of you are interested, I would love to see you there. As for the Environmental Justice Subcommittee on the Youth Commission, they're working on a foodware ordinance in the San Mateo County Unified High School District, trying to get plastic foodware replaced with compostable utensils. So they sent a letter to the board and are meeting with administrators to do a study into what it could feasibly look like. They're also meeting with the superintendent again next Tuesday and presenting the information they've gathered at a board meeting in April. At Oceana High School, which is actually my high school, we've permanently switched to compostable utensils. This started because I asked my principal who a proposal to switch to biodegradable foodware would go to, and she looked into it. And the person who's in charge of that actually emailed me back and said, we have compostable utensils now. So I'm really hopeful that a lot of people are holding sustainability in high regard and recognizing that a brighter, more sustainable future impacts us all and that we're all taking steps to address it. More on the Environmental Justice Subcommittee, they're also attempting to pass a climate emergency declaration in the South San Francisco Unified High School District and are finding students within the district to support that initiative. The Educational Equity Subcommittee has established a mentorship program for students from less privileged backgrounds. So that's something they will be proceeding with soon. And they're also going to be holding a Reading Rainbows program, which is reading to children. They're also going to be presenting to a board meeting in support of ethnic studies. The Behavioral Health Subcommittee is using social media to convey important information on mental well-being. And moving on, I attended a Civic Learning Summit in February, and a person who was in attendance was very impressed with my remarks as a panelist and introduced me to Assemblymember Gail Pellerin's staff. So we've scheduled a meeting, and I'll be meeting with Assemblymember Pellerin next Wednesday to share my thoughts on some mental health and civic engagement legislation. Finally, congratulations to Trustee Lemper on the Golden Oaks Award. And, oh, actually, one more thing. In my role as sustainability liaison, I reached out to the superintendent of my district in regards to establishing a sustainability group, and she just let me know that her and her cabinet are interested in starting a sustainability committee in the fall.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all the amazing work you're doing. That's just exciting, very exciting. Trustee Lemper.
I just first want to add my congratulations. Love that leadership. So thank you. That's fantastic. And I know President Benny is going to be adjourning our meeting in honor, memory of Don Chalvey, former San Carlos superintendent. But I just wanted to say a couple words as he was a really great education leader, not just here locally, but statewide and nationally. And he was also a very close friend. And when Don was superintendent, I think he's most famous for the first charter school in the state. If maybe I think one of the first in the country is in San Carlos, and Don was responsible for that. But what I saw firsthand was I think he was the most popular person in San Carlos. If any of you had met him when he was superintendent, he was just beloved. And then he went on to form Aspire Public Schools, which was the first charter management organization in the country. Then went on to the Gates Foundation, and then went back to his home in the Central Valley to run a great nonprofit there on education equity. But I just wanted to highlight, we have a lot of great education leaders. Don was certainly one of those, but just an incredibly special person. And I'll just say that I was so honored. I thought wow, this guy's my mentor. And he spends so much time with me, and he's always there for advice and always there for support throughout my career. And then I learned he did that with 1,000 people. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, and the outpouring, and so many superintendents throughout the state and country, and teachers and folks in education equity movement and different groups have all said, oh, Don spent hundreds of hours with me mentoring. And it's just, there aren't many people like that. So we lost a great one, and I know very special to the education community here in San Mateo County.
Thank you for sharing that. Trustee Cameron.
Just to say that really enjoyed Ted's talk. When Ted speaks about education, I walk away charged up. I'm going to get this done. So I thank him for that. And it was great to be with Nancy and Chelsea and Bev for lunch, and to see many of the faces that we've seen for the last 20 years or so. The continuity was nice to see. And thank you, Tammy and Kevin, for the labor agreement. I always think that's a huge part of the year to get those things done, and a chance for everybody to relax and enjoy the rest of the year. And Kevin, you and your department, thanks for the report. And it's always great, of course, to have solid financial news. So well done. That's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Gerard.
Thank you. Well, everybody said pretty much everything I wanted to say, but so I'll say it very briefly. I just wanted to congratulate Lori. It was certainly well deserved, and I loved her celebration. I've never seen that happen in all the years I've been on the board, so it was well worth the picture, and it was well deserved. So she's an amazing person and has been an amazing member of the County Office of Education for a long, long time. I did attend the 17th District Founders Days Luncheon, and congratulations to Mr. Lempert. I also enjoyed his presentation, and 17th Districts did something that I don't remember them doing. They might have done it, probably they have, but I loved it when they went back and they recognized the different PTAs in the county for the length of time they had been PTAs. I mean, what was 80 years or something? I think it was 80 years.
No, I think there was 100.
100 years, 100 years, one of the schools, 100 years, they've had a PTA. I mean, wow. That's just amazing. And I have such respect for the PTA, and I had PTA members knocking on my door when my oldest son, Adam, was ready to start kindergarten, saying, "We want you." They got me. And I also want to thank Deputy Superintendent Baltima. It was really and your team, a very clear budget. I appreciate that because I'm one that can get confused with budgets. So the clearer, the better. And it was, thank you so much for all your work. And as we talked, we did attend the workshop, which overall was very well received. I will be attending the May 15th end of year celebration, and also the May 30th Gateway Student Showcase. I'm dying to see that. I'm very excited about it. And we'll also be attending the San Mateo County School Boards Association dinner, which I will let President Benini give you all the gory details, which is going to be, I think, very, very exciting and informative next Monday night. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Torres?
Yes, so aside from the county board governance workshop, I was also in San Antonio last week for my principal job for the Council for Exceptional Children. They had a special education expo, so I was able to take some of my team there, and so many phenomenal workshops that I was able to attend about how to better support that department, dyslexia, therapy dogs, so I'm gonna try and get some on campus. And beautiful, beautiful convention. So if you ever have the opportunity to go, I highly recommend it. The next one, I believe, is in Baltimore. So that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'll start with the Monday event, which is the San Mateo County School Boards Association. It's our quarterly dinner meeting. I gave you all in case you haven't signed up, a very large picture of the whatever flyer. So it's on Monday, the 25th. Dinner is served, it will be catered. It will be a very yummy Italian food. And dinner is from 5:30 to 6:15, because usually it's sort of, oh, you have your dinner and you're hanging out at your table, but we have activities to do. So we're going to be participating, if you're attending, in a dyslexia experience, which really is, it means you get to experience what it might be to have dyslexia or to have a classmate next to you who has dyslexia. And then we'll do a debrief with our panel, which we're super excited about. We have from the San Mateo County SELPA director, we have Mary Young. We have Pam Bartfield from San Mateo Foster City, who is the director of curriculum and instruction. We have Marla Silversmith, superintendent from Burlingame Elementary School District. Jennifer Salma with Decoding Dyslexia California, and Giselle Hale, who is a parent of two dyslexic daughters, and she's a big advocate on this front. So it should be over by 8. So we'll have you fed and lots of fun and lots of debriefing, and it'll be finished by 8. It is at the San Mateo Union High School District offices, which is over on North Delaware. So please sign up if you haven't. If you can make it, it would be great. Since I'm presenting on it, I'm actually moderating it as well, and I've organized the whole thing. So it's always nice when you organize something to have a lot of people come. So come. Okay. And sign up soon, because I have to adjust the food numbers by Thursday, tomorrow. Okay, I wanted to say congratulations to Bethany for just, well, again, all the work you're doing, but being invited, talking to legislators, presenting. You're very well spoken and really passionate about all of these issues, so it really comes through. I also, I was able to observe the San Mateo Union High School District board meeting from last month, I think the 22nd, and they were talking about the project. So Superintendent Booker was mentioning that he was working with the students, talking about the different, cost factors and all the things, and he was really excited about bringing it back to the board, and the board sounded excited too. So I don't know if you were able to attend that meeting, but it's on YouTube. If you weren't, it's at the end, they talk about it. So I also wanted to congratulate Lori Mouton again. So well-deserved. Her third, as I read in the description, her third Employee of the Month award in her 37 years. Seems like maybe there would have been more, but but 3 is really impressive. So she's, and the fan club and her children, and that was just amazing. So congratulations again, Lori. And I think that's all I have. Okay. So with that, Our next regular meeting will take place on Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024 at 7 p.m. And our adjournment tonight, which is item 10A, tonight we will adjourn our meeting in memory of Don Shelby, as trustee Limpert noted. And so I will read some words about Mr. Shelby. Tonight, we adjourn our meeting in honor of a trailblazing educator and wonderful human being, Don Shelby, who passed away on March 16th. Mr. Shelby, a former superintendent of the San Carlos School District, put San Mateo County on the map in 1992 when he led the district's effort to sponsor the first charter school in the state and the second in the nation. In founding the new charter school, the visionary, Mr. Shelby, had the support of the San Carlos School District Board and teachers, who shared his view that the charter school would serve as purposeful test kitchens, quote, purposeful test kitchens for innovative practices in technology and multi-age instruction. San Carlos Charter, as it is now named, quickly became a key part of the San Carlos community and has won many accolades, including recognition as a California Distinguished School. In 1997, Mr. Shelby co-led the successful statewide campaign to expand the allowable number of charter schools in California beyond 100. He co-founded and served as the CEO of Aspire Public Schools in California. From 2009 to 2020, Mr. Shelby was Deputy Director for K-12 Education at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where he oversaw teacher preparation, charter schools, and school and system leadership. Most recently, he served as CEO of San Joaquin A+, where he focused on improving outcomes for many Latino students in San Joaquin Valley. Mr. Shelby believed in the transformational power of a good education. And throughout his career, he committed himself to making a quality education widely available to all students. The San Carlos Charter School is just one example of his enduring legacy. We send our heartfelt condolences to Don Shelby's family and to all those who called him a friend and mentor. With that, we are adjourned.
79. He took this new job running a nonprofit.